going to start with Senator Alma Francis Heyliger. You may proceed with your 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning to my colleagues. Good morning to the testifiers. Good morning to the people of this territory. I want to jump in and speak about ZAJ 22-1, the parcel in St. John, the family parcel. Ms. Jones, I first want to ask the question in regards to, has there been any previous attempts to change the parcel from public to the zoning that the family would like now, since they found out years ago that this did happen by accident, that it was labeled as public when it should not have been?
Certainly not as long as my client, Ms. Karis Moses, has held the property. There hasn't been a prior. And I believe she had learned from her uncle after she purchased it that it was Zone P.
Okay.
So I don't think even the prior owner had applied.
Okay, thank you for that. I also want to ask the question, when it comes to the environmental impact, you did share in the testimony that it would be minimal. What are some of the things that would be impacted, minimal or not?
Well, you know, once you're clearing, there's going to be land clearing. There's going to be some sort of disturbance and potential for that sedimentation to reach the waterways. What we're saying, because the land is relatively flat, you're not going to have that large impact as you would have if you're constructing on the hillside. Okay. And you would have less impact to the waters of the Virgin Islands.
Excellent. You talked a little bit about the ruins, and in reading, it spoke about them potentially being incorporated into spa, etc. Is the rest of the property going to be open for public viewing when it comes to the ruins, as if though it's not being now taken away from the public being able to participate and still? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, you know, it always has been privately owned property. The property has been open, and people can walk onto the ruins. And what she's attempting to do here is make the ruins more available, not only in terms of physically, but in terms of an opportunity to learn about the ruins and why they were there. There needs to be some history. That's why Ms. Moses is going to engage the help of a local historian to sort of learn particularly about that estate, because from what I understand, that estate has a rich history. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for that. Ms. Calwood Daniels, how are you?
Fine, Senator. Good morning.
Good. You know, I am always for development and making sure that there's housing available here in the territory. We talked about short-term versus long-term for some of them. Is there going to be a happy balance? Because I heard you talked about long-term, but I know a lot of times people do engage in short-term because of the quick turnaround of cash. Right. And what are your plans, if any, for that?
Time. Okay, well, our plans are to develop the 6 homes primarily as long-term rental. If there's opportunity to do short-term rental, we may engage in that. But the idea is to provide long-term rental for local residents. One of the things that my dad was very big on in the way that he developed his properties is he didn't maximize and say rezone an entire parcel and put a bunch of condos and maximize the development. He wanted to make sure that the local man, the little man, had a chance to own property, and he felt that we deserved to own the best of properties with the best of views like anyone else. And the parcel that we're rezoning is a portion of the parcel that he and his partners had. It's a group of local people that are involved, and most of it has been sold already to local residents.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, and the way he did it, people could pay in terms if they didn't have everything. If they couldn't get through with the bank financing, he accepted them paying in terms, and many people currently building their homes on the rest of the site, but the front portion, he wanted to do this type of development.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the additional time, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Francis Heyliger. And we're going to start with Senator Alma Francis Heyliger. Senator Francis Heyliger, you may proceed with your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon again to the public. Good afternoon to the testifiers, as well as to my colleagues. My first set of questions, what type of annual revenues does GRS look to gather on an annual basis in regards to leasing this property?
Well, it's under negotiation right now, but I can give you an idea of the type of revenues we receive from other ground leases. For the sale, for instance, their monthly rent is about $46,000 a month, so brings you close to $500,000. And Windy's, which is another ground lease, we own that property also.
So I know you don't have a set amount, but in negotiations, do you have a ballpark as to where you're leading?
Well, it's going to be a fixed amount plus a participation percentage in the annual revenue.
Yeah, that was my other question as to investment or potential profit sharing.
That's how it's going to be.
Okay, so all of this is currently being negotiated?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I heard that, there was no opposition during the DPNR meetings. Has this been put out to the members of GRS, to the public? Have you done it outside of DPNR to see what type of feedback the members or the public have on this project?
We haven't done it publicly. I have spoken, I've seen other members, and I've spoken to them about it. They have asked questions because it has been advertised for the rezoning, and they were very, encouraged about it.
Okay. I looked at the design of the building, and, being born and raised here, I'm very culturally oriented. And it seems very standard outside of our normal aesthetics here in the territory. I understand it's modular, so I'm assuming this was done for the structure, but do you guys plan on designing the exterior in a way that it blends in
1 minute.
a little bit more as it relates to the culture here in this territory?
Well, we have had discussions with the developer. That's a question, I think, and it's better for the developer to respond to. But he did express that he wants it to blend in with the Avonside Mall.
Okay. So it's a thought and a discussion, but it's nothing set in stone? Or
No.
can they respond?
Yes, good afternoon,
Good
Senator Sean Miller. To your point, absolutely, the building will look aesthetically in relationship to the other buildings, so it will not stand out. We'll make
Okay.
sure that it looks like we have red roofs. With all the other buildings, we'll have a red roof.
Okay. Also, my other question lends to culture as well. As you know, being born and raised here, I love to see the ocean. I love the idea that I live on an island. I'm the oldest of 10 siblings, and I've never left. The rest of them live away. So I love my home. So I'm always going to be from the perspective of how do we still keep that island home feeling without potentially turning into a concrete jungle? And
Time.
I'm seeing 5 stories in front of the ocean. Could you explain to me, could this have been done with a little bit less height, storage-wise, maybe width, to still accommodate the same rooms, et cetera, but still, not feel like you're blocking out the view?
Yes, good afternoon, Senator. The structure, the design, the design has the ability to have a large amount of green space, and that's why we could not have it lower. So we would like to make sure that we have local events in that green space. So we didn't want to take that green space up with a long, lengthy building.
Okay. Well, heard my time has been called. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the time.
Do you have another question, Senator?
For me, what they have answered, I still have a lot of questions, but I want to listen to my other colleagues and see where they're headed. So,
All right, thank you. Senator, I think there was a point of inquiry from Senator Francis Heyliger. You may proceed.
Through the chair to the testifier, of the project. Have you guys looked at the economic impact potentially of shifting to lower stories and maybe absorbing a little bit more of the green space? What kind of impact would that have on you if that was an alternative, if any?
Yes, good afternoon, Senator. We have certain minimum standards we have to work with a branded hotel, and they have said the 125 rooms is really makes feasible sense for them. And
well, I'm not questioning the room numbers. I'm saying instead of height, width, and reducing the green space, would that be a great economic impact to you, or is it an option when you were doing designing?
We did do some.
Well, I mean, I can.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, I would echo your comments, Sean, right? I mean, as you noted, having 125 rooms is important to the feasibility of the hotel. Now, theoretically, if one were to reduce the height of the hotel and still, if one could still have the same number of rooms by absorbing some of the green space, that would not hurt the hotel economically speaking, but of course you would, you would lose your green space, which, which I had understood be important to you as well. Usually, constructing hotels that are shorter rather than taller is actually less expensive, and so from an economic perspective, it tends to be easier, in fact, but. But having green space in the community, is a desirable feature as well. So that's the assumption under which we had worked.
Well, that's what I'm worried about.
Thank you.